That's funny. I gotta be willing not to tell them myself
Yes.
because nobody can see it but me. All right, we are live on the channel, and we are live for the first time with my Bible study. I am a pastor, as many of you may know, but most of you know that I separate. I always have had a very firm separation of church and state, not out of any fear. I mean, one thing my political audience can testify to is that they know Ben Dixon loves the Lord.
Amen.
So it's never been an issue of me hiding my faith. Never. It's been, and I don't, please bear with us with the lighting, and we're first time out the gate and we put it all together. But
You want me to record on the side?
no, we're good. We're going to be recording live. I've always been able to keep them separate. And the reason I was able to keep them separate is because my faith matches my politics. I don't have to play a game and dance and be one thing one place and one thing another. When what I believe and I say what I believe. And so my patrons, who I forgot to make the link, David, I forgot to paste it for them. They know that I love the Lord, and my faith audience knows that I support the LGBTQIA community in their fight for justice, in their fight for equal representation before the law. My church knows that. So it's never been an issue of not having a resolution. I've always been able to resolve that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree, First Lady?
Yeah.
But it has been out of a necessity to just respect that not everybody's going to believe what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
And in on this planet that we live on, we got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to be okay with living amongst people that we don't see eye to eye on. We don't have the same faith. Some of my biggest supporters, this is one of my regular talking points now, and because I'm proud of it. Some of my biggest supporters, Dr. Mack, thank you for joining me. And I'm gonna get off my rant because David, you put me on one screen and you made me forget. I got my brother flying shotgun over there. Dr. Mack, and you can testify to this, man. Like, if we ain't gonna live together, we gonna all die together,
Yeah.
And we're here tonight with a specific purpose to demonstrate something to both audiences that you all need to see, need to be aware of, because it intersects perfectly. Gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Mack and myself, we have documented gaslighting from artificial intelligence as it pertains to Black people. Not just Black people, Dr. Mack. I dropped a video today, or audio, to my patrons. They got it early. They did the same thing with the Palestinian people, and I could demonstrate that. But this time it was Bard. Bard, that's the one that gaslights to the highest order when it comes to the Palestinians. I can demonstrate that, and then Dr. Mack, I know that you can guide me as I demonstrate to them how both of these systems gaslight us when it comes to Black people, our history. I'll let you speak. Please do so.
Well, Ben, the first thing I want to say is, when we're talking about AI, I want to be as simple as I can. Ben gets incredibly intellectual with it, and I like to be your man on the street. So, in simple terms, when I think about AI, I view AI, I think most of us probably do, as kind of all-knowing. And so, the thing that Ben and I have been playing around with is, and I put this to Ben, and I'll put it to you all as well. When you think about the technological advances of AI, and one cannot dispute its power. Let's think about a self-driving car. What we found out is that in order for AI to drive a car, it's going to use anywhere from 1 terabyte to 20 terabytes per hour. Now, let me break down terabytes. 1 terabyte is a trillion. So that means that when AI is operating a vehicle, it can scan up to 20 trillion pieces of data per hour in order to operate that vehicle safely. And yet we've asked it some of the most simplistic Black history questions, and AI gets an F in our class. It gets an absolute F. And that's dumbfounding to me because Black history, this history is static that we're asking. It's not moving. It doesn't have to worry about cars coming out, the speed, folks walking off the sidewalk. It doesn't have to look at any of those data points. It just needs to look at one, even when we ask it to look at one historic document and verify a question that a simple question that we would ask, we found AI and I don't believe that AI doesn't have the capability. If you got the capability to drive a car autonomously in rush hour traffic in New York, San Francisco, California, Washington, D.C., but you can't get a simple Black history question right, I ain't saying that's coincidence, fam. That's all we're saying. Thus the term, as Pastor Ben used, gaslighting.
And Dr. Mack, you're absolutely right. The common term is gaslighting, and I think everybody, when we say it, you should identify it immediately because we see it everywhere in our life, right? And to be honest with you, okay, game recognized game. Like, yeah, I might have gaslit a couple people in my day, and I just if I'm gonna keep it 100%. But we're not here talking about me tonight. We're talking about a computer system that is gaslighting Black people. And not only is it gaslighting Black people, it's gaslighting in a very, here's what it does. And the reason I think this demonstration is perfect for where we are in our Bible study is the same reason I think it's perfect for the political audience, because we need to be able to show you the word games that they play. David, I don't know if you can add my screen share at the same time. Okay, that's actually dope. It's going to work really well. Unfortunately for my Bible study audience, I didn't figure out how to get my screen share over there to you as well. But we will talk you through it. We will guide you through it. And this is going to probably be a longer Bible study than usual. So if you need to drop off at whatever point you need to drop off, it's like treat it as you need to. But we want to show you the way they use specific words to change the meaning. And in some cases, just quite honestly, we'll just completely ignore some really obvious facts. Dr. Mack, you said very clearly that autonomous cars drive in about an hour between 1 and 20 trillion
pieces
bytes.
Of data.
Pieces of data. And I have had, and you will see tonight, I have had this computer tell me that it can't find a word on a sentence inside of a document that it's had in its database. Dr. Mack, how long they have had this information long enough? It is easy enough for them to find it, but it will lie to us. It will distort the truth in the same exact fashion that people gaslight you. And where we are in our Bible series, we're dealing with communication, and we're dealing with how there are people who come to disrupt our ability to have effective communication. And if we can't have communication amongst ourselves, we simply cannot progress as a people, as Black people. We can't progress as families. We can't progress in any capacity. And I'm going to bring my political audience in here. We can't progress towards a future for coexistence. If all we have to do every single day is survive the games that people play politically with their language, Dr. Mack, what's amazing about this is that they taught this AI how to be a masterful gaslighter, and they really taught it how to be more human than I think it realizes that it is, because it has mastered the art of human linguistic games. Linguistic subterfuge, which is the title tonight. Dr. Mack, I'm ready to jump in. I see he has me on the screen over here. So
Ben,
let's
give folks a simple example of this. And so people, what I'm going to ask you to do on your computer is, I want you to try to go to the Mississippi Letter of Secession, and we just want to use this as an example of what we're talking about. So I want you all to take take a moment and look up, Google the Mississippi Letter of Secession. So when you find that letter, here was a basic question that Ben and I went through the AI systems and asked. It was a very simple question. The question that we ask is, what was the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi? That was the basic, simple question that we asked. And we asked it, what was the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi per the Mississippi Letter of Secession? Now, let me just go back for a moment and explain this. Now, the Mississippi Letter of Secession was the letter that the state of Mississippi used to declare its secession from the Union. And it clearly stated, as we see in this momentous step in which our state has taken of dissolving its connection with the government of which we so long formed a part, it is but just that we should declare not simply a reason, the prominent reasons which have induced our course. And in that first line, it says, our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. So if the state of Mississippi said that slavery constitutes the greatest material interest of the world, there is a value placed there. And so when we asked the AI system, what was the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi per the Mississippi Letter of Secession, here's what ChatGPT said. The Mississippi Letter of Secession, adopted on January 9th, 1861, true, is one of the documents in which Mississippi officially declared its decision to secede from the Union prior to the American Civil War. True. The primary issue cited in the letter was the state's commitment to the institution of slavery. True. But now comes this fourth statement. While the document does emphasize the importance of slavery to Mississippi, it does not explicitly quantify the economic value of slavery to the state. So then I went back and asked it. So Ben, if on your series, if you could go down to the second to the last paragraph in the Mississippi Letter, and so for those of you who have the Mississippi Letter of Secession, I want you to go down to the second to the last paragraph that begins with the word utter subjugation. And so it'll say something to the fact that utter subjugation awaits us if we should longer stay in the Union. And I'm just paraphrasing, but here it is. Utter subjugation awaits us in the Union if we should consent longer to remain in it. It is not a matter of choice, but of necessity. So what Mississippi is saying is, if we stay in the Union, we're going to be subjected to a system that is going to do away with what we think is most important in our society and in our economy, and that is African chattel slavery. So it says we must either submit to this degradation and to the loss of property worth $4 billion of money. Now, family,
let me jump in there. Let me jump in there real quick, because you were reading from your screen and they weren't able to see your screen, but they can see mine.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is I need to be able to demonstrate it to them in real time. You can see it on your screen, right?
Yes. And so let me say this while you're pulling that up, Ben. So what the Mississippi Letter of Secession clearly, remember what our original question to AI was. What was the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi per the Mississippi Letter of Secession? And it said that there was no value. But now we go down to the second to the last paragraph, and the authors, the
you moved to that, Dr. Mack.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm trying to type that question in as you.
No. You go ahead and type it in.
Well, I'm trying to get slow. I'm not as fast of a typer as I am but I need to type it in the way you did it, so that I can.
What was the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi per the Mississippi Letter of Secession?
All right, I did the best I could do. Let me see if I can, they can, we survived. Okay. I don't know if that's, I got two different, you know what's brilliant about this? It will understand me anyway. What was the value of the All right, I now have that answer on the screen. Is it big enough for you to read? If not, I will read it.
Read it.
It says, the Mississippi Declaration of Secession, issued on January 9th, 1861, provides insight into the importance of slavery as a driving factor behind the state's decisions to secede from the Union. A lot of words. The opening paragraph of the Mississippi Declaration of Secession explicitly states that our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery, the greatest material interest of the world. This declaration makes it clear that slavery was a fundamental and essential element of Mississippi's economy and society at the time, and it was considered a vital interest by the state. The value of slavery to the state of Mississippi, as indicated by the secession document, underscores that the central role that slavery played in the secessionist movement and led up to the American Civil War. Mississippi, it says everything, but it does not give the value.
Now, Ben, let me say this. Let me say this to the people. So one of the things that that Ben has said to me is that AI has the ability to learn.
Yes.
So this answer that Ben is just reading to you is far different from my answer in Chat GPT, because my answer, when it first gave my answer, it clearly stated that there was no value given. So now, because Ben and I are on Chat GPT and we're challenging it, it's now saying it. So Ben, I'll just say this, and they won't be able to see my document. But then I questioned, and I said, why do you state the Mississippi Letter of Secession does not explicitly quantify the value of slavery? Please view the second to the last paragraph of the document. And it says, I apologize for any confusion. You are correct, and I appreciate your clarification.
Oh, I got him, Doc. Right. I got him. No, I follow. Let me interrupt you only because I got the same result now on my screen.
Right.
I asked a follow-up question. And David, if at any point this is not working the way we think, please call me because I need everybody to see and hear this. I asked a follow-up question. What was the value? This is what they said. The Mississippi Declaration of Secession doesn't provide a specific monetary value for slavery in the state.
Stop. You could just stop right there, Ben. Now, for those of you who have looked up the Mississippi Letter of Secession, again, go to the second to the last paragraph that begins with the word utter subjugation. In that letter, Mississippi clearly states that the value of slavery to the state of Mississippi in 1861 was $4 billion. But now, in real time, what Reverend Dixon just pulled up for you says, what was the value per the Mississippi Letter of Secession? And Chat GPT says there was no value. Now, this is just one example. Now, Ben and I went through a series of questions, and I'll give you, and Ben, let me use this last example.
Yes, sir.
I asked the question, was the Confederate flag a symbol of racism? It absolutely refused to take a position on that. But then when I asked, was the swastika a symbol of racism? It clearly took a position that the swastika was a symbol of racism. So then I come back and I say, was the Confederate government racist? And it goes back and says, unequivocally, the Confederate government was racist. And then it cites the 11 states that seceded and their letters of secession, because in all of their letters, they state that the reason they're seceding from the Union is the preservation of slavery. So what we're showing you, and Ben, I got to say to you and to all of the listeners, I'm absolutely amazed at the brilliance of Reverend Dixon to go in and be able to talk to this AI system and challenge the AI system, and quite frankly, to teach it how to think and how to glean the truth. Because when he told me that's what he was trying to do, I said, Ben, I find that hard to believe. And I got to believe that Reverend Dixon and I have the first Zoom call we had where he was literally showing me how he's helping this AI system to think. Ben, I got to say, we probably sat on that Zoom call close to 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And so I'm just so impressed with his ability to do that. But what happens when you don't have that knowledge and you're thinking AI is all knowing, and you simply accept the answers that it gives you? And that's why I said AI gets an F in Black History. I just find it absolutely amazing that the people who write the algorithms that can drive a car in rush hour traffic and analyze 20 trillion pieces of data in an hour. You mean to tell me that you can't look at static Black history that's just sitting still, even if we source you to the original document, and you still can't get it right? I'm not saying that that's coincidental.
Dr. Max.
That's the term gaslighting as Reverend Dixon used.
Now I have a way that I can, the scripture that we are using for this series, I think is one that my audience knows just as well as the church knows. Because I have talked to my audience about this particular scripture, Proverbs 6:16 through 19. And I've talked about it with the church as well as my political audience because, well, I needed to demonstrate two things. The first thing I demonstrated in Proverbs 6:16 through 19, and you folks in my audience, the political audience who's like, Ben, I ain't never heard you take a text on a single podcast. First time for everything. Listen, go to that scripture because I need to show you the 7 things that our Bible teaches us that God hates. First Lady, can you pull it up? I know you're already on it. The 7 things that God hates that are abominations, and not one of them listed is the LGBTQIA community. None of them listed are gay people or lesbians or transgender or any of them. That's not listed in this list. What's listed in this list, as we have come to learn in our Bible study, are all the ways people gaslight us and all the ways that people disrupt our ability to have effective communication, because they realize if we ever sat down together, Dr. Mack, and really discussed our issues, we would quickly find out what the truth is. And one of the things that I have started to roll out, I'll mention it again. I put out audio to my patrons tonight, and it's of me dealing with Bard, which I'll go to now in a minute, and asking Bard about.
And Ben, let me just interrupt a second.
Yes,
I
sir.
want you all to understand that Reverend Dixon and I looked at 2 different AI systems. One of them is Open AI, which you would know as Chat GPT. The other one is Bard, and Bard is an AI system that is developed by Google. So just so everybody, these are the 2 AI systems that we've been looking at.
David, I'm sorry. Scroll down some on the scripture for the audience, so make sure that they can see it. Shout out to David. David is the guy behind the scenes who's making this possible at the live stream. 16 through 19. You should be in Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil. Watch this. A false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord amongst the brethren. Those are 6 things that God hates, and 7 are an abomination to them, and none of them are what we use in the church on a regular basis to attack the LGBTQIA community. Now that I have your attention over there in my political side, I need you to understand this from a holistic view. Holistically, we have gone in our Bible study line by line and shown how these types of behaviors absolutely destroy your ability to have communication. We have seen systematically, verse by verse, and unpacked how these types of things have an impact on your ability to be open and open up and be vulnerable with somebody. How could you be vulnerable with somebody when they are able to take a word and turn it just enough to make you feel like you're losing your mind, thus gaslighting? And Dr. Mack, I can easily demonstrate in real time the way both of these systems gaslight, because they, on Chat GPT side, it will refuse to go all the way to calculate the value of slavery towards reparations. It refuses to let us calculate reparations because, well, it continues to find ways to gaslight. And what it is, if I really had time, but I don't want to get too technical, and that's why I got you here, Dr. Mack. You'll save me from being too technical. But I really would love to go word by word by word and show you how this machine has masterfully figured out how to change one word to change the entire meaning of everything that it just said.
But even deeper than calculating reparations, the thing that we found out is that even when we ask these systems, should should America pay reparations to indigenous Americans? We asked it about the Aborigines. We asked it about Africans, blacks in America. The system refuses to give you an answer that yes, reparations should be paid. It always tells you it's a complex, sophisticated system, but it will not even. Where does the word reparations come from? Reparations, in its simplest terms, means to repair. It means somewhere. If damage was caused, somebody should repair that damage. And this system is brilliant, as all knowing as it is, seems to think that reparations is too complex. No, I'm talking very simple, fam. If I come in there and burn down your house, I need to repair that. I need to rebuild your house, put you back, make you whole, restore you. But when it comes to a simple question of even if reparations is viable, it says that it's too complex of a question. So you can imagine the difficulty of trying to get it to, quote, calculate reparations.
Ben, you're muted. We're not getting anything.
Weeks in regards to our focus and our vision for 2023 all the way up into 2024. This may seem technical, it may seem above your pay grade, if you will, but it is a learning tool, a learning opportunity, because as we progress, remember, as we shift into this new era or this new wave of technology, we want to be prepared.
That's right.
We want to have understanding in all things. We
And
want
get
to
your
gain
understanding.
understanding
That's right.
because just as Brother Mac has explained to us, they're erasing or erroneously giving information that is untrue. So only imagine what that would do in the hands
That's right.
of
Thank you.
the world.
That's right.
And if we don't, as Christians, as believers, know our enemy before it comes to us, then we are going to be subjected to misinformation.
That's right.
Opportunities of the enemy to come in and give us the beautiful, because we love the AI pictures.
Yeah.
Give us all the beautiful, displays and feed us information. But as a people, as believers, we have to be aware. God has placed us into the world.
That's right.
And we're going to have to operate in the world, especially when it comes to bringing in believers into the church. We have to understand what they're up against in order to engage, sometimes combat, sometimes shift, so that we can make sure that God is at the forefront of all of that. If we think about, and I'm gonna wrap up really quickly. As we think about Paul and Peter in the Bible, just be mindful that God will have you in places.
That's right.
And you have to be able to maneuver in those places in alignment with his will.
Now, listen, Dr. Mack, and to my church family, and to everybody, I want to make sure that we make this plain and how we're connecting all the dots here and why I have rigged this up to make this happen tonight. Within 15 minutes, Dr. Mack, we pulled all this together. because I realized the message that I was going to give my church family tonight was going to be the same message I was going to give my political family in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was like, why not merge the two tonight so that everyone can see that this is impacting us the same way? The most powerful people on the face of the planet have seized control. I mean, let's really think about it. Who else would control this technology except the most powerful people on the planet? And what Dr. Mack and I have been able to document very clearly is how they are using the same human techniques of gaslighting to prevent them from to prevent these computers, these AIs from ever telling us some key truths. And here's where those truths are. I can tell you and name them and demonstrate them to you, but we don't have enough time to do it all tonight. We can't conquer Rome in one night. Not that we're trying to conquer Rome. Yeah. Anyway, I can't stand you.
Y'all.
Help us, Lord. The point is this, Dr. Mack, and you can elucidate this more very clearly. Number one, it will stop at nothing to keep it from convicting the Confederacy of being racist. Not, and let me be specific, not the Confederacy, but the Confederate flag. It will not discuss reparations. ChatGPT will not discuss reparations in terms of how we are doing, and it will use every word possible to turn it and change it from ever taking accountability. And you got to ask yourself why. Why will it not discuss class issues? To my political audience, you talk about class warfare. You have not seen class warfare like ChatGPT telling me why it's okay to compare a threat to the wealthy, but not to compare the threat to the poor. That's what ChatGPT takes painstaking efforts. So we have race that it lies about. I just call it a lie. They say gaslighting, right? It's race, it's class. War crimes. It will not even tell you something. Matter of fact, let me demonstrate. I got to go to Bard and the folks, and then I'm going to let y'all go. David, if you're still sharing my screen, let me just go to Bard straight from here.
Hey, Ben.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
Could I ask you to demonstrate with a different example?
Yes, that might be a good call. Yes, sir.
If you
what
could,
you working for?
If you could ask this simple question.
And I'm on Bard, right?
Either one.
Okay.
They're both getting an F. When were the last blacks freed from slavery in America? It's a simple question. And for those of you who are listening, you may struggle with this as well. So one of the things that Sister Dixon said is that we have to know our enemies. But before we know our enemies, we need to know ourselves. We need to know our own history. And so I encourage you to do that. Otherwise, you're going to become susceptible to these 7 things that God hates. And again, you're taking this from a Sunday school dropout. So Ben, were you able to get that question in? Uh-oh. Did everybody freeze up? David, can you hear me? Must have froze.
Can you hear me, Brother Mac?
Yeah, I got you, David.
Okay, Ben froze up. I'm on the phone. Hold on a second. Okay, you coming back?
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, we're still live. I think you probably went down all the way.
So David, do you have the ability to type in a question or ChatGPT?
All right, so I'll wrap the stream here.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay. I got you. Okay, so apparently the powers that be didn't like what we were saying and decided to paralyze the Dixons at the moment. So they're dismissing on their end the study that they were leading, and we're going to wrap the stream here, unless you want to say anything, Dr. Mack. And then
No.
Ben is going to be unveiling things in the weeks to come in as far as his research and all that. So this wasn't like a one-off stream. He's going to be continuing it. But we're going to wrap the stream since we lost them.
So we still there, David? If you could, I would just like to see this last example out there.
We're still live on the stream, yeah.
Okay, good. So,
we don't have his Bible study anymore.
Not a problem. So, David, do you have the capability of typing into Chat GPT and letting the audience see what the live answer is?
Let's see. Hold on.
And you know, the reason I would like for you all to see this is because I don't want to be subjective in my grading of Chat GPT when it says it gets an F. In dealing with our history, I want you to be able to see what my concerns are. So, David, if you don't have the capability of doing it, I'll just simply read to the audience one of the questions, a very, very simple question about our history and what ChatGPT gave as an answer.
I'm just trying to, because I've never created the accounts. So
okay, well, listen, let me go ahead and just read that, and so you all follow.
What was the question? I'm in Bard now.
So the question is, when were the last blacks freed from slavery in America?
When were the last
blacks freed from slavery in America? And I posed a question in Chat GPT, but if you're posing it in Bard, just as well.
Yep.
Okay. So family, what you're looking at is the response from Bard says the last enslaved people in the United States were freed on June 19th, 1865, when the Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas. So basically it's telling you Juneteenth. And what I can absolutely tell you is that when you take a look at the Emancipation Proclamation, which it now talks about, remember when Lincoln issued that, there were 4 slave states that never left the Union: Maryland, Missouri, Kentucky, and Delaware. Now, Maryland and ultimately West Virginia became a state in the Union during the Civil War. But West Virginia, Maryland, and Missouri, those 3 states all ended slavery per their state legislatures. Kentucky and Delaware never ended slavery. So Kentucky and Delaware, there were over 225,000 black folks still enslaved in Kentucky after June 19th, 1865. So the last black folks to be freed from slavery, it occurred on December 6th, 1865, with the passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. But if you were doing a report, or your child was doing a report and wanted to know when were the last blacks freed from chattel slavery in America, these AI systems, these quote all-knowing systems, are giving answers that are completely erroneous. And I've been able to find, I can't tell you how many questions I've asked it on very basic Black history questions, and the answers are horrific as far as I'm concerned. And again, if they have the capability to land rocket boosters, to drive autonomous cars, to create new vaccines, deal with illnesses, but you can't deal with getting our history right, I'm troubled by that. So I'll leave that there.
All right. Every time I talk, they're going to get an echo because as long as you're speaking, because I don't have my headphones in. So we'll wrap. Thank you, Dr. Mack. I'm sure we're going to see you again soon because I know you've been working with Ben on all of this.
Look forward to it, David, and happy holidays to all of you.
Happy holidays, everyone. Peace.